It is my current position that Ermes Gasparini is now stronger than Levan Saginishvili, at least in certain areas. Just to clarify, I am talking about peak Levan here. Of course, Ermes is stronger currently as Levan is still recovering from his wrist injury, so he cannot train at full force nor can he compete at full force. I am talking about Levan's maximum level before his wrist injury. If we compare the current version of Ermes to the peak version of Levan, I think that Levan's wrist is stronger than Ermes' wrist, but I think that Ermes' arm is stronger than Levan's arm. First, let's take a look at Ermes' back pressure. Ermes has recently lifted 92 kilograms on strict back pressure from a dead stop. And keep in mind that this is loaded weight, not accounting for friction. The actual force may be closer to 100 kilos. This lift, as far as I know, is a world record by a significant margin. How does this compare to Levan? It's a little bit hard to tell. The last time Levan maxed out on an exercise that was similar to this was years ago. This time Levan managed somewhere between 70 and 75 kilos depending on the friction of the pulley system, although he likely became stronger after this. But solely based on the bicep lifts Levan has done recently, I don't think he is capable of matching Ermes' lift. Most of the bicep lifts Levan does is using both less weight and an easier range of motion. Or if it is using a greater amount of weight, the angle Levan is using makes the lift almost irrelevant for arm wrestling. It's also important to remember that Ermes' elbow to fingertip length is shorter than Levan's. This means that Ermes has a mechanical advantage in the back pressure lift, so it would make sense if he were stronger there. Based off of these factors, I think that Ermes has more back pressure than Levan does. Now let's take a look at a more real-world example. During the match between Ermes and Levan, Levan was able to take full hand control every single round. First, Levan's hand seems to be stronger than Ermes, and second, Levan's longer arm allows him to pull at an angle that gives him more potential to take hand control. However, even though Levan took full hand control, he really struggled to pin Ermes in multiple rounds. We saw that Levan would take hand control, but as he got close to the pin pad, Ermes would use a combination of pronation, back pressure, and side pressure to get a stop. Ermes' back pressure had to be absolutely ridiculous in order for him to stop Levan while being somewhat underneath him. In my opinion, if you are able to find a balance point with someone and this balance point occurs after your opponent has taken your hand, your arm is likely stronger than your opponent's. Of course, Ermes' pronation is still very active here, so it isn't quite that simple. But just looking at this match from a general perspective, Ermes' arm power looks better than Levan's. After all, 99% of people would lose if they were in Ermes' position. I have a feeling that the next time these two guys face each other, Ermes is probably gonna win. Ermes continues to shock me with the pace at which he is making gains. He has so much more room to get bigger as compared to Levan, and his endurance also looks better. However, I also find it likely that Ermes will still lose hand control the next time around. If Ermes does manage to defeat Levan, I think it will happen due to Ermes' arm power. I see him getting a stop with his massive back pressure despite losing hand control and slowly but surely grinding out the match. Eventually, he transitions to a flop press while maintaining pronation. In this position, he isolates Levan's bicep, and from there, Levan gasses out sooner due to worse cardio and a less efficient technique. I really hope this happens because I think it would be so funny if the #1 arm wrestler on the planet obtained this rank via flop press in a sport where hand control is idolized. But let me know what you guys think about this. Do you agree that Ermes has the stronger arm and Levan has the stronger wrist, or do you think that Levan is just overall stronger? Can't wait to find out for sure when Levan is fully recovered and we finally get to see the rematch.